Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for passing by. Thank you very much for subscribing and thank you so much for watching my videos. You are greatly appreciated. I've seen wherein the Prime Minister of Barbados, that's Mia Motley, she has, put sort of ban on Vybz Kartel because she doesn't want him to perform there with his content, his lyrical content on Easter. And you know that Easter is celebrated by Christians and most Caribbean territories are Christian related islands. And so it's not, I don't think it's necessarily a ban means that he's not welcome on the island. I think people are exaggerating. I think the timing is inappropriate based on the fact that people are Christians there, and it's the church and the state that actually governs most Christian nation. And so with that being said, the Prime Minister did what she believed was in good conscience and in good favor of the church, and not permit him to perform on Easter. I was also listening to Foota Hype, and Foota Hype was speaking on Vybz Kartel, and he was saying something that was very profound. It stuck out like a sore thumb, like the elephant in the room that we actually not going to ignore. And he said that you can't make it seem as if the only time a dancehall artist can sold out Barclays Center in New York is when he went to prison for a lengthy period of time for murder or something like that, and he has been released or exonerated or whatever the case may be, and so he come back as a bigger hero and glorified while he's still alive, and that's the time he's going to sell out our Barclays Center. But when I listen to what Foota is saying, he speaks with a lot of prejudice. His argument usually holds some merit, but it's usually for his own selfish benefits, and this is the reason I do not necessarily listen to Foota Hype or take onto his argument, because he speaks with a lot of aggression. That's number one. And I do not get the reason to be overly aggressive when establishing a point or putting your point across. But I do understand that he grew up in a very harsh environment in Jamaica, the ghetto or the lower socioeconomic communities, and because of such, then he will need to protect himself at all costs. And if it means that it's violence that is included, so be the case. And because of that, he will grow up with that kind of mindset and behavior. And wherever he decides to reside, on whichever landmass, that's just the same behavior, that's the same type of audience he will attract, and that's the same type of message that he will put forward. So I'm not necessarily a supporter of him, and I do not necessarily listen to him, because like I said, while his argument hold merits, it's usually for his selfish benefit. It's usually an edge or some sort of grudge that he has against the person in question or the subject at hand, and then he gets a talking point and he just use it and run with it. Because what he is saying, that the argument that the artist should not, or any artist for that matter, a dancehall artist, should not be able to sold out Barclays Center all because they did a lengthy prison sentence. It doesn't look good on the black community. This is something that so many persons have spoken about for decades. So he's not dropping diamond knowledge. He's not breaking any bars. He's not saying anything that no one else has said. He is not an inventor. He is reiterating arguments, and it's good to speak on it. But why speak on it now? I am in total agreement, and these are the things that I always say. Why is it that a person cannot be recognized or acknowledged for their education, for their intelligence, for good behavior, or all of that? Why is it that they have to end up going to prison? They have to end up surviving multiple gunshots like 50 Cent and so many others, and then they come out and they're sold out, they're selling this, they're selling out that, they're promoting this, they're getting endorsements and all of that. These are questions that lingers in the mind of many well-thinking, conscious black people. And because of such, there are so many things that they aren't going to support and they aren't going to stand by. Not because he sold out Barclays Center, which is good for him and his finance. It doesn't mean that it is a good movement, because behind the scene, it's almost like we are seeing a Malcolm X, we are seeing a Martin Luther King who was arrested so many times. We've seen the Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Marcus Garvey, all these type of persons who are profound and great leaders of the black community, whether they have a controversial background or not. These are people who have served some time behind bars. Then they come out, and when they come out, they have a profound messages. I always say that there are some books out there that are very expensive, right? And I'm not going off on a tangent. Just listen to me carefully. There are some books out there that are very expensive, right? It's not privy to the public. But when you go to prison, or if you are convicted of a crime and you're sentenced to prison, those books are available. Those books are readily available for the black man in prison. While behind bars, those books are available. And so with that being said, they will come out, a movement will push them, and this is what they do. Remember that the black community is championed and pushed. The finance of the black community, that is championed and pushed by someone else that does not look like black people, someone else who is not for black people. Because the majority of us in the Western world came over through our ancestors, through entrapment and slavery. And because of such, the engine of the Western world, or aka the new world that was built, it's built on those people. And because it's built on those people, they are the ones that are in charge. They are the ones with the money. They are the ones with the engine behind pushing the success or failure of a black person. So all that we're seeing right now is engineered. Now, when we look into the situation where these books are readily available while in prison, this is one of the reasons the black man comes out and he speaks with a lot of wisdom. He speaks profound. And the man who went and behaved himself while in school, while at home, is not recognized. They find all the flaws to tear down a Dr. Umar Johnson. They couldn't wait for that child's story and the DNA and him being the father and all of this and being a deadbeat. They couldn't wait for an angle or an edge. They couldn't wait for a negative moment to tear down Dr. Umar Johnson. Do I agree with all of his fundamentals? Not necessarily, but that doesn't take from him that this is a highly intelligent man. He's well researched as a Pan-Africanist, and I do support him. But because he's an intelligent man who hasn't been incarcerated and stuff like that, most of his things will be overlooked by black people, and they are waiting for that moment where they can bring him down to say, here lies something, you're no different from us, you're just like us, sharing the same misery, the same problem, the same flaws, the same imperfection, and here it is. Now, with the situation of a Vybz Kartel now, being a thug, being a gangster, being all of these type of things, being a shot caller, calling out hits on people, going to prison for murder and all of that. This is what the black community like. This is what the black community praise. You understand? Versus a Sean Paul. And I will not get into the skin color because this has absolutely nothing to do with skin color. And if it's not Sean Paul, let me put Beanie Man. This is who they will prefer over a Beanie Man. If Beanie Man was still trending and Beanie Man had multiple hits currently running, they would still rather a Vybz Kartel over a Beanie Man, because Vybz Kartel has the flaws that they like, that entice them. It makes for a good story. They can relate to it. You understand? So even when I eliminate Sean Paul from the argument, which he has current music out and they are hits, bigger hits than Vybz Kartel, people are going to put in the factor of his skin color into the argument. So I go for someone else who is Beanie Man, who has done many years in dancehall. They're not going to praise him. If Beanie Man came out with 3 hit songs right now or 4 hit songs right now, he will not get the praise by black community as a Vybz Kartel, because Vybz Kartel is a thug, the gangster, the shot caller, the womanizer, the philanderer, all these type of things, living the life and promoting whoredom, promoting degradation in women, and women celebrating it as female empowerment. These are the things that the black community like. This is what they prefer. And so you will have him selling out Barclays Center because of a good story that is behind his name. So is Foota hype right? Absolutely. He is in fact correct. He holds major points. His argument has deep merit. But as we say, this is a black community for you. They like what is being showed in front of them. Once it has to do with violence, once it has to do with taking out another black man, once it has to do with tearing down another black man, it is goals for them. And it is such a sad situation. But children who are descendants of slavery tend to function and behave a lot different from those who are on the landmass of Africa, in more ways than one. Even though it's several countries that make up Africa, on a grand scale, children who are descendants of slavery, they tend to function and behave different. Violence entices them and they like it. So a student who behave himself in school will never get the fame, unless he's an inventor or he decides to come out with something that the world need, and he gets his accolade from it. That will be the most he will ever get. You understand? I remember I was communicating with a friend, and I spoke of this before in another video, and he said from the day he was going to school, children who misbehave get all the attention rather than those who behave themselves, study, and do their homework. Even if they fail, once they are well behaved, they do not get any attention. The student who misbehave gets all the attention. And it's the same thing that is happening in the society, in the wider world where we become adults. The persons who misbehave in society, the persons who go contrary to the laws that govern the society to make us human, to make us act and behave like we have some sort of decency, do not get recognized. It's only the persons who go against the grain, who believe that they should go up against the system at all time, unprovoked, fighting against someone who does not exist, fighting against something that is in their head, and want to be a rebel without a cause, do bad things and get away with it. There should be no consequences for the action. These are the people with that mindset. That's what the black community enjoy. That's what the black community promote. So Foota is completely right in his argument, but that's another story for another day. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your day, and may God bless you. Bye bye.